But I remember I was fired for saying, "What are they going to do? Fire me?"
Really?
Yeah.
What was the circumstance?
I was in.
How you doing, Gar?
I'm good.
This is your first time in person, right? For us?
This is my first time in person.
I have an important question about your first time in person.
Yeah.
Did you bring our presents?
Oh, that's right. What was it?
Mushrooms.
Yeah, you're supposed to bring us mushrooms.
Yeah, it was.
You son of a bitch. You don't have them, do you? You don't look like a guy who has mushrooms on him.
No. Oh my God.
Well, you kind of do, but.
Wouldn't that be amazing? He's like, yeah. I carry them everywhere I go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time.
It'd have been too long, but I definitely.
All right, well, so next time we get a double dose.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what were we supposed to do them all together, or just get them
No,
from
because
Gary?
you weren't doing it right. Shot. I
Right.
had grown them for you.
Yeah, I don't want to undo my progress.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do them all for you.
Cool. Yeah. But they're in our freezer. Or no, I think they're in those vacuum packed bags.
Yeah.
Nice.
Probably have just tons and tons of mushrooms in your freezer.
She went all out.
Yeah. Did she do?
that was
Did she
something.
do? I don't know how much we talked about it last time. So we'll ask a few questions.
She grew it like you would grow, I guess, hydroponics or whatever in your home.
Hell yeah.
And
then
she was so
you-
careful with the lighting and the temperature. I mean, she really.
And then it's just not something you did it once and didn't like it, or you've never done it at all. Like, what was the?
I had never done it, and I was concerned that it would
Throw you off.
Sid Barrett me, the Pink Floyd.
What
He
happened to
started
him?
Pink Floyd. He did too much LSD, and he never came back from it. Yeah. so-
Really?
Yeah, which mushrooms aren't the same
Yeah,
as
it's
LSD.
natural,
but
right,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah.
I'm
I'm always
was
still
'cause you
afraid of
were
those things.
type of thing.
You had started because you were gonna go into treatment, right? And then
Yeah.
and then
It was before the hospital. These mushrooms were grown before I went into the hospital. I went into the hospital and recovered quite dramatically and valiantly.
Yeah.
And so I never had to dip into that cachet.
Well, it's
of
nice
the
that if
mushrooms,
you ever
but
need to,
yeah,
or if the world's
totally.
ending or something, you have a massive amount of mushrooms ready for anybody.
I imagine they stay like fresh for a while. I actually was recently had like a family party, and I had some aunts and uncles there, and they were like, yo, let's go smoke weed. And as I'm smoking weed, I was like, this isn't like I don't smoke a ton of weed, but I was like, this doesn't feel like weed really. Like it doesn't feel like it's hitting or anything. And my uncle goes, well, yeah, it's 9 years old. And I was like, what?
Decade-old weed.
They
and
had
your
bought
uncle?
it 9 years ago, and then had kids, multiple kids, and just
Wow.
never got around to smoking the weed that they bought. And they brought it to, it was at my sister's wedding, and we were smoking it in the woods. And I was like, dude,
Oh,
this
it's
weed,
heartbreaking.
I was like, this weed sucks. And
This is the worst weed ever.
they're like,
Bro,
they're
that
like, yeah, we kept it in the freezer for a long time, but then the kids got old enough to start eating their own stuff out of the freezer, so we had to move it from the freezer.
If that's not the most like parenting story I've ever heard. One day we wanted to smoke weed, we had kids, and we just never did it since
We
then.
didn't get around to it
That
for a
is
decade.
for a decade. We didn't find
Wow.
any time to just smoke one joint. Like,
like
crazy.
weed went through the court system and got legalized in the
Before
time.
you guys-
Like they bought it in some shady back alley. This is in Massachusetts. So like they bought it in some shady back alley deal, and now
get it at the
you can
corner
get it
store.
at Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, and the
That
marijuana's
is
just
crazy.
sitting there. Like, when are they
Poor,
gonna,
yeah, that poor
when are they
little
gonna
weed.
get to us?
I like to think of the weed as like
Alright,
Toy
yeah,
Story. Like, are they gonna play with us? Are they gonna smoke us today?
Our potential is being wasted.
I want to make you happy. I want to help you out. That is unbelievable. All right, well, big strike. We don't have our mushrooms. We've
I
been
guess
waiting.
we'll do this interview sober.
Yeah. I was hoping to be on psychedelics for this. Okay.
Wow, I talk a lot of shit.
You look very different too, by the way. You looked like Johnny Depp during the pandemic. You had you had the ponytail in. You had kind of a
Yeah,
it was a piratey.
it was,
I had this Frank Zappa thing going on,
Yeah.
and because I was afraid to go to the hairstylist because I didn't want. It felt too Greek mythology where your vanity undoes
downfall,
you.
yeah.
And so I die getting a haircut. So
Yeah.
then I went a few weeks ago, and it was I had them cut it. I said, make me look like a grunge star approaching 40.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, you're like on.
You're a good-looking cat.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
thanks. You
not
are.
fair how handsome
Thank
you
you.
No,
are.
because
You're
you're
like-
also tan.
Thank you.
What's your background? You got a nice tan in the middle of fucking
I'm a Russian Jew.
Russian
Yeah.
Jew. Are
Yeah,
they
but
tan? Why are you tan?
Well, yeah, there was so much raping and pillaging of,
sure,
of
okay.
That'll do
Russian Jews from different ethnicities that
Really?
yeah, well,
It was
yeah,
the rape.
yeah.
Why are you so tan? The rape. The massive amounts of rape. That's why. That's why I'm a golden cookie. My ancestors were raped incessantly. But you really are, man. You got. I mean, you
play
got
a lot of basketball every
you?
morning. I play basketball if it's sunny, and so that's why I remain tan.
that's the one thing
Yeah.
I wish I played basketball. I never. I mean, my body just broke down on me, so I don't play anything anymore. But
Do you play in a league or you just out?
No, it's a lonely man's sport.
Oh,
at a
just go out and
certain age,
shoot.
because it's in the summer. I would have to get up so early because it would be 1,000 degrees out,
Yeah.
and then there'd be nobody else. There was one other guy, and we'd play one-on-one. He's a business student at Columbia, and he would be there. And
what time are we talking?
As early as like 6 a.m.
You would be there at 6.
Yeah, I would be there at
Jesus
6.
Christ.
I would wake up at 5:30, and then go over there. And
I wish, man. I feel like morning people
but
live
only
such
because it was 90 out by the time it was 8
So
a.m.
all right,
so
you play ball till
now
what,
I'm
8 o'clock, and then what?
And then
Then you're just up for the
from
day.
8 o'clock, then I would. I mean, I read a lot, so that was
Yeah.
part of it. I read a lot of magazines and then books, and then I'm writing a book, so I had to have to work on that. So
What's the book about?
It's a memoir of kindergarten through 12th grade.
Oh,
So,
you have memories from
Yeah,
them.
I have.
Oh, how
Look
about that?
at you!
Yeah.
See, I don't have memories of it.
I have the
I
blessing,
repressed it all.
blessing and the blessing and the curse of
the memories.
vivid memories of everything from the time I started school until the time I graduated. I remember.
Wow.
So
Is
much
it
stuff.
going to be
Yeah.
the God? I forget the name of the book, but it was so good. In the Great Depression, the
Oh, the Lonely Tree.
Lonely
Tree. Yeah.
That's got to be in there. Make a
Lonely-
chapter about the Lonely Tree.
The Lonely Tree is the fiction I wrote in second grade. So
It's
yeah,
the most
it
depressing
it makes an
book of all
appearance.
time.
Yeah, it's so
That's
depressing.
that's
but it
like the
was-
funniest part of the Great
it
Depression.
was just
Your
a
mom
ripoff
not
of
realizing.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I knew that was that was a hot narrative. Yeah.
when you say
Yeah.
that, anyone who has a basic understanding of psychology would see
Yep.
that this is an allegory of a cry for help.
Yeah. A 6-year-old would say, "This is an allegory." No, am I a jackass or is this an allegory? This is something that
feel
stands
like
for something else.
You're so like well versed in with all the struggles you've gone through and like persevered through. I feel like you know so much about everything, about the psychology of it, about treatments, about all that stuff. So I feel like you're
Partially, it's my wife who would go to the meetings and ask all kinds of questions and do a lot of research. So
you always need one person to ask the questions, right?
Yes.
Because I would just sit there and be like, okay,
Yes.
all right, sounds good,
This
whatever.
This guy has way more schooling than me.
Right,
I'm not
he's
gonna-
smart, I'm dumb.
I'm not going to bother him. But he
Yes.
was such a nice guy. You can see in the special that he's like a really, really down to earth guy who just happens to treat the celebrity mentally ill.
Of which there are many. Let's be fair. It's a good one.
Yeah, you could just say celebrity.
Yeah, for real. Or just person at this
Right.
point.
Yeah,
Jesus
right.
Christ.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the amount of
yeah.
people who are just realizing that, everybody's got some
Oh, this
shit,
doesn't have to be this way. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, I don't have to sit down in the shower to get through.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. Those were the moments where I was like, there's got to be
just sucks.
a way out of being so exhausted that I'm sitting in the shower. I used to do
Yeah.
this standing up after football practice.
Right.
This is not normal.
See, that's why I never.
Yeah.
I sat down. I still sit. I'm gonna sit there.
I was going to say, if that's a red flag, I need to make some changes.
Dude,
man.
I told a story once about when I used to have football practice where I brought I would bring like a picnic chair. You know, like the cheap plastic
Oh,
chairs
yeah,
that'll
yeah, of course.
sometimes
Yeah,
fall
yeah,
over
yeah.
when you get a fake tornado kind of
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
And I used to just fall asleep. I'd chew tobacco and I'd fall asleep in my sit-down chair and wake up just covered in like tobacco spit because I'd been asleep in there for 2 hours.
In like high school,
Yeah,
right?
I was like 15.
You were like a child.
It's adorable, though. Yeah, with
What
that
a
little
cute
chair-
little
that little
naked
chair.
teenage boy getting all
Yeah.
pruny with tobacco down his chest
Yeah.
and
So
drowning.
What years were those?
All of them?
Yeah. Probably from about my sophomore year. So I was probably 14 my sophomore year, all through high school and college, and then
And pretty much still to this day.
Yeah, and it's pretty close to this day.
Have you given up dipping?
I did. I gave dipping
That's
probably
not
like
easy,
4
man.
months ago, 3 or 4 months ago.
I remember kids going into fits during study hall because they couldn't have a
need it.
dip during study hall.
Yeah.
And they'd be, oh my gosh.
I honestly accidentally did
tears.
it. Like it was just like I just kind of like didn't do it for 2 weeks and was like, I guess I'll just
going.
stop.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten this far through the Red Sox playoff run. If it keeps going, because it is such a trigger on TV. Like, Rafi Devers has.
Oh my God, he
chewing.
never is not chewing. I mean, he's at the plate. He's like, like, I wouldn't be able to play I wouldn't be able to play baseball if I had something like that in my mouth.
Yeah,
I should
it's
be
just-
focusing on just that the whole
Yeah, it's so
time.
true.
It's huge. He's a kid too, right?
Yeah, he's just turned 24.
He's
Wow.
a baby, man. He's so good.
That's amazing.
So do you just you give this Columbia Business School kid the business playing 1-on-1? You just back him down on the post?
He's pretty good. I do.
Yeah?
He
You're a
likes,
big guy.
Yeah, he likes me to back him down in the post because he's tall. He's like 6'4", so I
shit,
give
so
him
you're
those
even
moves.
fight.
But you know what I forgot about taking it down low is it's exhausting. It really is. It's more tiring.
Yeah.
than
There's a reason why
shooting-
most guys just sit out there shooting
yeah,
jumpers.
totally.
It's real easy.
And
Yeah,
then-
Steph Curry has
yeah.
it figured out right. He's like, oh, this
And
shit
then,
here.
then you miss a shot, and it's like, do I even want to go for this and follow it up? Because that's it. That's exhausting. It reminds me of the last time I got into a real fight. I was 18 years old, and a few punches in, I was like, I'm
tired.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is I
That's-
cannot do this. Is brutal.
I think the average length of a real fight is probably like 5 seconds, because that's when people are tired and it gets broken up. And once you get broken up and you are that tired, you're like, okay, all right, hold me back. But it's like, all right, I'm out
You're
of gas.
throwing
man.
these haymakers.
We have a amateur boxing federation that we do
Really?
here. It's 3 1-minute rounds though.
That makes
because
sense.
amateurs like
Yeah.
you get your adrenaline flowing and you start throwing punches and you're just
yeah.
over. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
back to your corner, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to even go
Yeah.
out for the second.
We have like professional athletes participating, and they're still like Pac-Man
Wow.
Jones was just in it.
Really?
And he was tired after they did 3 rounds. They
Yeah.
could have gone a little longer.
Yeah,
But we've
but
had
still.
usually like the headliner is usually
in shape person.
an athlete of sorts.
Yeah.
And it was still like, boy.
Fighting is, it's like when they say you don't play boxing, It's,
Right.
It's,
No, I
it's-
know.
It's a whole
I
different
know.
game. What were you fighting about when you were 18? Throwing those paws around?
I was
You would knock you
I
the
was
fuck out.
I was in a car, and this guy who was part of our group. Do you remember when you were 18, you go out in groups of like a dozen,
1,000 people.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
He was in another car, and he had overheard me say something, but he misinterpreted it, and he just punched me in the mouth. And then I was like, ugh.
Now I have to
gotta-
fight you.
You gotta fight somebody who punches you in the mouth.
Yeah, right. You're just so angry that I now have to stand up for myself.
Yeah, oh, for
That was
crying
the
out
rage you were
loud.
using? Like,
Yeah.
you're making me do this. I don't
Yeah,
want to be here.
I don't want to do this. And the thing is that he never gave up. He
just kept fighting?
Yeah, he just kept fighting, and I was so much bigger than him, and it was just by the end he was like, anytime, anywhere. I'm like, ugh.
How about no time, nowhere?
Yeah, no time, nowhere. I don't
That
have the energy.
exact thing
I don't have the
happened
energy for this.
in my middle school, where it was like there's a little runty kid, and he would fight this big kid, and we had to middle school was at the bottom of like a hill, so you had to walk up the hill, and that kid was waiting there every day,
Yeah.
until he wanted to win, and the kid was like, fine, dude, you fucking win, you're tougher than me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like the
Yeah.
bigger kid was like, I give up. It's yours.
I don't want to fight you. It's like Peter Griffin and the chicken. Like, I don't want to fight you every day.
It's very easy to subdue the smaller, so I can subdue them, but then you can't hold them forever. And they get
And then you
out
let
and
them
they
out.
start, and then
It's
you
like
get
a Tasmanian devil. They just
it's-
round up again.
It's just,
I got punched in the back by a homeless guy recently, and I was just walking by. We kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't even like we bumped into each other. We just kind of came somewhat close, and he was, out of his mind, and he just punched me like right in the spine, and I was just like, ah. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna like fight this guy. I'm an adult, and he's got problems, so I just kept walking. And then on the podcast, I was like, what would it have taken for me to fight? And I think even if he punched me in the face, I would have just been like, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I wish that didn't happen,
Yeah.
but I don't want to get punched in the face again.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get much satisfaction if I punch him in the face, so I'm just going to keep walking.
Yeah, when your ego is not on the line, when you don't have to go into school on Monday and defend yourself.
You're like, all right, maybe a few
Nobody's-
people on the
yeah.
corner here are going to know that I'm a big pussy, but whatever. I mean, maybe if there were some cameras rolling, I don't know. It's almost more like if I was with somebody else and they got punched, then I'd be,
Yeah.
But
Oh,
me,
right,
it's like you
right,
can just
right,
you can
right,
wallop
yeah.
my head all you want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything.
A fight is at this age is far more performative than it is actual anger. Like
Definite.
It's,
I feel like I have to do this. I'm a man. I'm strong.
Yeah.
I am neither of those things. I'm a boy and I'm weak. So how has been? I mean, everybody that we've had eventually come through in person, getting back on stage has been like a big deal for them, and I would imagine for you even more, right?
And I wanted to plug, if I have permission,
Plug
the
away.
biggest show of my life coming
Really?
up November 13th at Carnegie Hall.
Which I
Yeah.
already
Carnegie-
purchased tickets to.
You did?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so fun.
Dude,
we
Carnegie
actually
Hall is
Yeah.
that's one of those bucket list things.
Yeah, it's the one venue that my family had heard of. you can't impress them with side splitters in Tampa
Right.
or even Morty's in Indianapolis. The R.I.P.
Carnegie
But
Hall.
Carnegie Hall they know.
Yeah, I heard of
and I just feel bad for all the cellists out there who are like Because unless you're Yo-Yo Ma,
Nobody knows.
nobody knows who
yeah.
you are. I'm the second best cellist. Yeah. do you know?
What a lonely existence.
Do you know?
The
Yeah.
second
Do you
best
know?
cellist
Do
in
you
the
know?
world.
Do you know Yo-Yo Ma?
Yeah.
How sick is the 2nd through 100th best cellist?
It's like what's
Sick
even
of hearing.
You know what? If I'm the second best cellist, I'm putting a hit out on Yo-Yo Ma. Like it's my time now. I'm gonna assassinate this guy.
It's so true.
It is also just like you have to lug that around. You're like, I just bring a microphone. I got this. I got this fucking job with a microphone.
We've got it so much easier.
Yeah.
Comedians, even
Yeah.
over a guitarist, doesn't have to. Yeah.
Shane Gillis on his special, he as he's doing his in the club across the street was like blasting music, and you could hear the bass and music. And he was like, God, music is just so much cooler than what I do. Which is true, but not true. I mean, comedy to me, I think, is one of the. I think anybody who can get up and do what you guys do is like the most amazing form of entertainment. But I understand the idea of music being this like experience. But I think comedy is the same way. Right. Now I feel like comedy has had this moment, maybe because of Netflix or whatever, where it's become so mainstream where everybody's getting a taste of it, and it's not this like little niche thing. But I mean, I feel like it's as big as anything is right now. Movies, TV. If you have a big special or you're a big comic, big podcast, you're top of the fucking food chain, you know?
Yeah, it is impressive. With music, there's a timestamp on these songs that can transport you like a fine aroma.
Sure.
That's so true. Go right
you're
back
just
to
like,
high
oh my
school
gosh,
or-
I'm in 10th grade again. It's incredible, and the music doesn't even have to be that popular.
Right.
It's
just
just
about you. I mean, I also think that helps.
I feel like I have that with comedy.
Do you?
Well,
Really? You remember where you were when you first heard
with Jerky
certain
starting
jokes?
the Jerky
the Jerky
Boys.
Oh my gosh.
Elementary
The first
singing
time
that.
I ever heard the Jerky Boys, and it was on a bootleg cassette at a friend's
Dude, we were sitting in
dorm
the
room.
lunchroom, and we were like had like styrofoam plates in front of us, and it was like, "You kick my dog," and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit!"
That's true. That's a good one.
And then like,
Wow, that's
I remember being in the car listening to Dane Cook when I was in like, high school.
I remember Dane Cook. I remember watching the Chappelle Show with my
Chappelle
me
Show,
and my friends on my freshman year hallway.
Yeah.
We all got together in my dorm room as if it was a game.
Wow.
Like where are you watching Chappelle Show tonight?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Huddled around like in a little dorm room on a little TV because it was
Oh,
like
man.
you know a appointment television at that
No,
point.
that's true. I mean, the albums were like that for me with comedians growing up, and then Saturday Night Live was the biggest thing going in the 70s and early 80s. So
Yeah.
I guess you're
Yeah, that's
you're
what I mean.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely has its.
All right. I'm done discounting comedy. I'm eternally grateful for this outlet. I mean, can you imagine if laughs weren't a thing and we just
Dude, I mean, the way
that wasn't a form of expression?
and the way you guys can harness it is just—it's always like fascinating to me. It's like there's an unlimited amount of ways to make people laugh, but like the average person doesn't really know how to use any of them, and you guys can do all of them.
It takes you a few years, but it becomes
That's
like
what's nuts.
Yeah,
I can't.
It becomes a language.
What else do people do for years on end, mostly like at least a decade of eating shit and bitter failure and bitter failure, and then to like hopefully maybe kinda pop a little bit, you know, and you guys all stick it out.
That's the cruel part, because with baseball you start off on a T-ball, but with comedy you go against the worst audiences of all time, and sometimes there's only 4 or 5 people there. In New York, when I first started coming here, you'd go on at 1 a.m. in front of 4 or 5 people. English was their second language,
Right, they don't
and
know
unless
what's
you
going on.
were directly deriding them or their clothing, they really didn't understand what you were talking about. It was just a nightmare, but it was a meal. So that's what the seller used to pay. If you
Food?
Yeah, if you were working after 11, I think you got a food spot, which was even better than
money?
Because otherwise I wouldn't have had a hot meal the entire. I was eating jars of peanut butter.
This is insane, Gak. Like, and you guys willingly, happily did it for years. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, I would have given up so fucking fast.
But it's that fun. It's
Yeah.
that fun when you do it.
That
it's
didn't
such
sound
a,
fun.
It's such a high that you're willing to sacrifice all your education to keep it moving forward. Yeah.
What do you think you would have done? I mean, I feel like it's an interesting question for anybody, but for someone like yourself, like, what was Plan B?
I really liked when I was the building substitute teacher at my high school, and the kids found out that I did stand-up comedy, so I would say, listen, if you behave for a half hour, I'll spend the last 15 minutes
Doing
doing my jokes.
Wow.
And so
That's the greatest
most
substitute teacher
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Oh, I was amazing as a substitute
That's
teacher.
the only
They
substitute
really
that didn't get abused.
Yeah. They've a lot of them keep in touch with me. They have kids now and things. So that's really cool. But so I think I could have done that and felt like that was sort of an ethical and moral manifestation of my talents. Like I was doing something positive.
You would be viral right now. You would be the
Right? Yeah.
You would be the comedian teacher.
That would be fun.
Like I mean, the bar is so low for teachers that
for teachers
you know
comedy?
the teacher.
But
no,
you
no,
remember
anything. The teacher who like wears sneakers to school
yeah,
is
yeah,
viral
yeah,
on
yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
look at him, he wears shoes.
But you remember the teachers who were funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really special thing. For a
And
teacher.
you would have figured out a way to teach by doing a
Yeah,
stand-up
yeah,
set.
yeah.
And you would have Miyagi'd them with your jokes. You know, they would have like
That
been
would be-
laughing, but like, oh, the mitochondria does power a cell or whatever the fuck that is. You know,
Yeah,
Were
a
you
good joke
giving-
can teach you something
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Were you giving full material, or were you kind of like taking it down? Were you giving like, I mean,
I had so many jokes about growing up in this city that were so specific and local. I'd be like comparing the Space Mountain to the car wash that was on this particular street in the neighborhood because it was really exciting. It was like going on a ride because sometimes you get stuck in there, and if you had an old car, my mother's car would fill with the bottom half would fill with water because there was so many leaks underneath and everything. So I was like, it was a flume, and the kids would laugh, and also you had to do that Eminem thing where you would self-deprecate because they could see that I was making $45 an hour. It was advertised on the local cable channel for $45, and they would so they would mock me and things. But they were
wait, 45 a day.
45 a day.
Okay, I think you said hour. I was like, hang
no,
on
no,
a
no,
second.
no, 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 $45 an hour would have been fantastic.
Yeah, you've done that your whole life.
And probably the least amount I would accept now if I had to go back and do that because it was like getting up at 6:30 in the morning after doing shows the night before. So that was the only real issue. But
that is brutal.
yeah.
And you're a New York guy now?
I live at 139,000th and Malcolm X.
But you're from was it Newton?
No, Peabody.
Peabody. Okay.
I think Louis and Joe Rogan are from Newton.
There's a good
yeah.
like I don't think it gets
Newton is
enough-
like a pipeline too.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And
It
Brian
doesn't really,
Kiley from Conan is from Newton.
It's probably because most of you guys just come down to New York or do Boston
Yeah.
in a little bit, but like
yeah.
But does your mom live in Needham now? I feel like
No, my mom lives in Peabody.
she does. I thought there
Yeah.
was an N town in the.
I went to
special.
Boston College.
I knew that.
Which is in Newton.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
That was. I remember I
part of it.
toured. My dad went to BC, so I toured BC.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And I learned that everything about Boston College is a lie. It's the Boston College Eagles. It is in Newton.
Yep.
It is a university, not a college.
Yep.
And the mascot is based on a gift from the Japanese president, I believe.
No way.
And there are not eagles there; they are seagulls. So
nothing is.
The statue it should be it should be the Newton University Seagulls or something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it was a college established so Catholic kids could go to college, basically.
Yeah.
And the occasional Jew wound up there.
The Jew could catch a ball.
Yeah.
Jew had big hands. He's good to
Yeah.
go.
Did you ever
Yeah.
play there?
No, only in the spring game. That
Just
was my
spring
last.
game?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my last game. I got redshirted through my freshman year, but the tight ends ahead of me were Mark Chimura, and then Pete Mitchell was a freshman my sophomore year, and
That's
those
pretty
guys
tough.
were, and then the coach's son was really good too, Bobby Bicknell, who's I think a coordinator. The last I checked, he was with San Francisco, but he might be somewhere else now. But
It's football is. I mean, you could be great in. You could be like the greatest player in your town, your section, your region, and you go to any legitimate school, and you're like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, sports is so
Again, Shane was talking about it. I just watched him on Ryan Sickler, and he was like, I was like the best football player at my school. I went to being like the worst player in the conference. You know? Like he was like 6'3", 290. He was like, this is all I ever did. And then like 6'3", 290 doesn't mean a fucking thing anymore. It's like, oh, I'm the worst.
It's wild because I remember growing up and there were kids who were incredible at Little League. It was like, this is the best baseball player I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
And they don't even play past high school. Or what is it like to be in the Little League World Series? You peak at 11 and a half.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your life is just
Unless you're Chris Drury.
Right,
Todd Frazier.
Yeah, or Jason Varitek. I think is won a World Series
I can't even.
At both levels.
I loved playing. Like my district or whatever was nothing important, and I was like mildly good, and it's the best memories I've ever had.
Oh, it's
if
incredible.
I was playing and winning or a hero, if I hit a home run or something in the Little League World Series, I wouldn't even care if the rest of my life was downhill. Of course, the rest of your life's downhill. That's the best thing that can ever happen to you.
It's true.
You know,
It's
I mean,
true.
take me back to that time. I'd sign for that right now.
I still haven't done anything more exciting than getting my driver's license.
Right? I mean, those things.
Changed my life more than everything else.
Think about
Yeah.
it. The most important thing
Yeah.
that maybe ever happens to you
Yeah.
for the first half of
Yeah.
your life is that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
can't
really
even.
wild.
Especially most people go on, I'm sure you've been on stage and you do Carnegie Hall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you go on to like a regular, pretty pedestrian life, you're probably thinking about that home run when you were 11,
Yeah.
like forever. I played baseball until breaking balls started, and then I was like, well, the ball's moving out of the way.
Oh my
I can't.
gosh.
Can't
I
hit
know.
that.
I know.
I swung there. It moved.
I know.
I'm out. I'm done. This is crazy. I have to predict where it's gonna go now. Get out of
I
here.
know. Like these guys who play for 10 years in the major leagues and jump from team to team. If you played with them they'd be the best
They'd be
athlete you've ever
seen in your
life.
whole fucking
Yeah.
life. A spectacle.
Yeah. Yeah, I play basketball at that park sometimes in the afternoon, and I'll see a guy, and I'll be like, "This is the greatest basketball
Athlete to ever
player
exist."
I've ever seen in my life." And I'll be like,
he's
"Where'd
an
you go to
accountant.
school?" And he's like, "The Connecticut." Oh, right, School of Broadcasting.
Dude,
Played some intramural.
Ever notice, like, does anyone there, like the kid you play with, does he know who you are?
No.
No?
No.
You've never, like,
there,
you never
there are a
asked what
few
you
people.
do?
There are a few people in my building who've seen posters of me, and they saw me
Yeah.
in Joker. Like some of the kids
Yeah.
in the building, they'll be like, "You were in Joker," and
Yeah, amongst,
so
other
amongst
things.
But this kid, like,
other
you've never been like, so what do
comedians.
you do? And you're like, I'm a stand-up comic. You guys just get there, don't even talk, just ball up.
Yeah, just ball up, but I
That's
say
so funny. That guy, like, for the people who know you, the people who love the Great Depression, the people who are going to be at Carnegie Hall, like, that would be one of the coolest things in the world to play basketball with you. And you do it every day with this guy who, like, just
Yeah.
there's something there. I mean, you could write like a little book about that.
It's
like the 6 a.m.
yeah,
appointment basketball with this guy.
It's the perfect level of fame.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I understand it's a pain in the ass to be super famous. You like sometimes I'll walk with Amy Schumer just around the club or everything, and she has to keep moving or else her night is 2 hours delayed.
And people don't
Yeah.
understand that, where it's like, oh, she
Yeah.
wouldn't sign this autograph.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if she did,
Yeah,
she
she
would
wouldn't
never
get home to
out.
her son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. She would.
Yeah.
Her child would starve to death.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, that
Yeah.
kind of fame, and I just I mean, part of it is sour grapes, so I didn't want to be super famous.
Who wants to be doing arenas all over the world? I've heart, no thanks.
Exactly. I want the intimacy.
That I love.
Yeah,
comedy's best in the club. That's where it's meant to be done, not in giant
Yeah.
stadium. Okay,
Yeah.
tell Kevin Hart that.
Yeah, Kevin Hart's like, comedy's best when I take a $10 million check home on the way out the door.
Comedy's best when you can fit 85,000 people in there.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine doing a stadium. Like,
No, I know.
Not even an arena, a stadium.
I know. I did Madison Square Garden once, opening for Dane Cook during one of his tours.
That's
and-
gotta be
But I
insane.
remember the subtext of every joke I told was, Dane Cook will be out here in a few minutes. Just bear with me
Hang
here, would
on.
you? Yeah. Just
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot you were on fucking, what was it called? What's
the
the
Tourgasm.
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 Yeah.
like when like vlogging got invented, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh
I
my
remember.
God.
I might have
Yeah.
said this to you last time. Like, I remember watching you and just being like, "This guy's in too good shape to be comedy." You just like jacked. I was
Yeah,
like,
you underestimate the insecurity laying beneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
it's
guy
a real,
can't be a comedian. He's too good looking.
Yeah, it's a real mess. But you can tell from most comedians, oh, this kid didn't have sex in high school. That is a pretty good.
That is what's
that
so
is a
funny.
pretty good bet.
When you guys do make it, like I said, you're rock stars now, but in order to get there, you have to live this pretty quirky life of like
Yeah.
loserdom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like,
it reminds me of and probably better conditions, but the early years of minor league baseball players, but also pro wrestlers have stories of just like driving 3
Yeah.
hours to not get paid,
Right.
but do their thing that they love. So I think it's much easier, and I guess it's if you hate that part of it, then
you're not gonna
make it. You have to love at least the getting on stage part. The driving, that sucks, but usually you're with I would drive hours with Bobby Kelly, and it's like,
right.
it's a show on the way to the show.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that guy's one of the all-time storytellers, and he's so quick. And we used to wait tables all day, then we'd go do shows at night, driving to New Hampshire and Maine and all these things.
Yeah, like that does sound fun.
Yeah, it was
but
a
I
lot
know
of
in
fun,
the moment you're probably like,
but it was,
fuck,
but everything was at a loss. You were barely making enough money to. Yeah.
I mean, that is just to keep doing that for as long as you guys do is insanity. Because I mean, most people would just be like, all right, I gotta
to me,
get something.
Insanity
to make
is waking up and when I was an accountant and going to that job.
Absolutely.
I couldn't.
You were an accountant too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. See, I couldn't reconcile that with my values.
I mean, I'm with you on that. But even that, like, I didn't really jump to this until I knew this was like pretty steady.
Yeah.
I made like a little bit of a risk, but not too much, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That it's like, that's insane.
But it's also a risk to not give your all to the 9 to 5.
Well, I gave my all, and my all wasn't even remotely close. I was like, this is as good as the accounting gets, and you guys hate me here.
Yeah.
Like, I was a utter failure at that job.
I didn't walk away from something I was really talented.
No, it was not like, well, I'm going to be a partner over here, but I could be a blogger. It was like, I'm getting fired next time, so you know.
Yes.
Like I got my job right as the recession hit, and they were doing layoffs every couple months, and I was like, how am I not good at fired? And I felt bad. There was like this guy, he was young, but he had like a wife and kids, and he got fired before me, and I was like, he's definitely better than I am. And I think I would just go out for drinks with the partners and stuff. They liked me. Right. And I was like, this is not right. Like, I'm just gonna fire myself.
I was beloved by the other guys there because I was funny, but I remember I was fired for saying, "What are they gonna do? Fire me."
Really?
Yeah.
What was the circumstance?
I was in. It was a room bigger than this, but it was probably 15 of us doing the books or balance sheets for what is now probably owned by 3 different things that were. Anyhow, it was an investment mutual fund, and I was being really loud and entertaining, and somebody said, Gary, the client is like right outside the door. And I'm like, what are they going to do, fire me? And I had to walk into the human resources, and they were like, it says here that you said, quote, what are they going to do, fire me? And I said, I'll get my things. But thank you.
I'll get the cardboard box. We'll back it up.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Man, that's great.
And Cobra, that's still Cobra is.
Yep.
I wish they didn't call it something that's so dangerous.
So fucking menacing.
Cobra
What
is
Cobra. It's like a benefits. Like
you
insurance.
can keep your health insurance. You just have to pay for it. But at the time,
pay a lot,
if you
but it's less than.
if you couldn't get health insurance with a pre-existing condition, you couldn't. Right. You couldn't get because I was depressed, so it would have been hard for me to get insurance
as a pre-existing.
It was,
brother,
before Obama. Everything was a
Really?
pre-existing condition because it's. I mean, to the insurance company, it's a big expense.
Yeah.
I had to keep my benefits because I had a bunch of surgeries and shit.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of the guys here, I remember asking Dave, like, well, what do you do about insurance? And he was like, what? I just don't have it.
Right.
And I was like, cool for you, man, but it's just like not an option for me.
Yeah, me neither.
So, and if I had quit, I don't think I would have gotten it or the same amount. So I was like, I have to get fired.
Yeah.
So I dug my heels in, and they were kind of like, do you want to transfer to another place? We could find this thing that's better for you. And I was like, nope. And they were like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, I'm good. And they were like, no, you're not. Like, you're gonna get fired. And I was like, I'm okay with that. And they just didn't, because I had this thing waiting, And so then, and then it was all just to be able to keep my benefits. But I mean, even that, it was like still like $600 or $800 a month.
Oh yeah. It was a ridiculous amount. Then I'd be working just to pay my insurance.
Right.
But the alternative was not acceptable. Yeah.
What was like the tipping point for you? When did it become profitable? When did it become?
I sold an idea for a pilot in 1999, 2000 to Fox, and I got $250,000. Wow! They used to give away
just for
money
an idea?
to stand-ups.
Did it make it to?
I put on a great show. I told the whole idea for the show, and then there were other networks that were interested. So I had it. It never made it.
Never even made it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. What was the idea?
It was about a guy who lives at home with his mother in the same house he grew up in with the same friends he grew up with since 6th grade, and it was all about that. But I had a lot of good stories about my mother and my friends, and one
Was it you? Was it
one
just, like,
was
your
the
life?
assistant to the mayor. Yeah, it was
Yeah, just your story,
biographical.
yeah.
I've just sold my biography over and over
You're
again.
Kramer.
over the years.
You're Kramer with the coffee book, coffee table book.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, the latest iteration was just this thing that I never told anybody before. But early on, I was telling biographical stories. Yeah.
Is you're working on a show with McKay, right?
The one I'm doing now with McKay is about my high school. It's similar to the This American Life story that I told. It has part of that where I am a very nerdy 11th grader who gets trained by these two really cool football coaches, and then I get a scholarship after 1 year, and then my life falls apart. But
So this was not.
but it was very
autobiographical.
exciting.
Yeah.
Well, it's autobiographical in that I mean, if it wasn't for the therapist at the college, I would have jumped out a window. I'm sure I was going crazy that year, because it was like I had never played football until high school, and then all of a sudden I'm having to read how the defensive backs are playing and where the linebacker is, and it just doesn't. The cover two just never made any sense to me, how I was going to coordinate with the quarterback and break off a route and not get
Football is insane.
not get
football,
screamed
it
at.
really is
These
like
are
a
not
battle.
dumb
It's a
people.
war. No,
These are not dumb
they're not
people.
just idiot
These
jocks.
Are,
They're
they
smart.
just are obsessed with something different than accounting
than
and
intellectual
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We had Gronk in here after he retired, and we were on a show. We were just hanging out, shooting the shit, and he was talking about so the Pats were considering signing Antonio Brown. There was the rumor, right? And we were like, someone asked him, when do you think Antonio can be ready to play? Like how hard actually is the Patriot playbook?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, dude, it's easy. They give you an iPad, and then you just gotta have like the plays. They update it every week with what plays you need to know that week for that scheme. And his fucking, what's his buddy's name? Who kind of like runs everything. I forget his name. It's not Beast, but it's something like that. And he goes, Beast. Tell him when last time my iPad was charged was. And Beast goes, 3 years ago. And then we're like, you don't study game film? He goes, I don't study anything. I just know it. Like he understood how ridiculous
Just
it
a
is
savant.
that he's good at that. Like he got it. He's like, yeah, it's absurd. I just know it all. He goes, I just know the whole playbook.
And that's coming from a guy who, typically we joke about him being like a dummy, and it's like he's brilliant when it comes to this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tom just loves him. Tom's just like, come with me wherever I go. You know?
Yeah. It's
He was
extraordinary.
Brady's puppy.
Right.
Because like they say, when you're an old dog, you get a puppy, it adds years to its
Oh
life.
wow,
Right?
that's a
Like-
great point.
Like Brady was like probably kind of tired, and there's like this fun, goofy guy came. I was like, all right, I like this sport again. And we just had Edelman here was talking about how he didn't like one of the reasons he left was he didn't have any friends on the team anymore. He's like I hung out with Jake Bailey the most. He's like I hung out with the punter. That's who I like talked to and knew. And he's like,
sad thought.
He's like, it's like you kind of get into a locker room, you realize you're way older than everybody, and it's like this is kind of weird. I don't have any friends here anymore.
It's like being the like super senior who comes back.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
yeah.
still trying to party.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I mean, that's crazy that like Julian Edelman walks into a fucking locker room and feels a little like insecure or whatever. Great looking guy, incredible.
yeah.
He's like, ooh, like that. Those guys are intimidating. The
Man,
fuck.
yeah.
It's a cruel sport, man. It's a cruel life where it's like you get chewed up, spit out, and like when they're done with you, they're done with you. You know?
Yeah.
The fans, the people, it's like, and you're like 32, and they're like, put a bullet in that guy's head. He's done.
I know. That's why I'm so grateful I found this
comedy,
because I think part of the draw to sports is people pay a lot of attention to you. They're cheering for you.
Glory,
and then and there's glory, and then you go into comedy. At least you can do that into your 50s. Best case, I would have played till I was 35, right? And then what do I do?
You got
for
a
the
lot
rest
of life
my
left.
Yeah,
and you're injured, and your brains are mashed.
And my ear is unattractive. It's those cauliflower ears that these guys get. Oh my god,
it's absolutely
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, comedy is like a lifelong thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and you can get better at it. I mean, you look at guys like Carlin and Robert Klein, and it's really impressive.
Carnegie Hall. I mean, if you're in New York and you hear Carnegie Hall,
if you're anywhere. I mean, it's the
that transcends.
It's not even the joke. It's the premise, I guess, of the joke of like work hard at things and you get to go to Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That is like how do you achieve your greatest dream? The joke about that
You're
is
doing
Carnegie
it.
Hall.
Yeah. How many people is that?
2,600, I think.
20?
Yeah.
Oh, see, so we're kind of the same thing as us. We're also part of New York Comedy Fest.
Oh yeah, what are you guys?
Yeah,
doing?
we're doing Gramercy
Gramercy
Theater.
Theater.
Gramercy Theater is a great room. Oh my gosh! I've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think the best comedy is done inside.
No, that'll be so. I've done it on my own
6:30 p.m. Friday.
with Doug Loves Movies.
Yeah.
I did that, and then I did some headlining shows there. That's a great room.
Yeah.
Good
I mean,
room.
it's definitely great for us, for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah, of course.
Carnegie's pretty decent.
You're gonna have a blast.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a blast, and nobody has to wear a blazer.
We were when we first like Carnegie Hall, not Carnegie Hall, New York Comedy Fest first announced that we were part of it.
Yeah.
And they forgot to put us on the billboard or the band.
We were like convinced we weren't actually in the festival.
And I was like, thank God I actually bought the tickets for Gary's show rather than ask someone to get them for me, because I think they'd have told me to go fuck myself.
No, I would have hooked you up. I'm happy to, but the weird thing is that you don't know this, but I was supposed to do Carnegie Hall before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hits, and I'm like, of course. Why did I think I was going to play Carnegie Hall?
Of course that would happen.
That the universe was going to let me play Carnegie
God,
Hall.
that
There
must
had
have
to
been
be
a
a
bitch.
correction. I was really bummed out because I usually wait until the last minute to tell my family I'm doing anything. Because then, of course, every time I talk to my mother from the time it was postponed till now. So when is Carnegie Hall? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I was actually just telling Kevin earlier that I was at the dinner with my parents this weekend. And someone saw us. They're like, "Oh," they asked my parents, "Like, are you coming to their show at Gramercy Theater?"
Yeah.
And both my parents were like,
I don't know what are you talking
they're
about.
like, "We didn't know there was one." And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Don't tell them
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Don't even take them in public."
Yeah.
If I could somehow sell tickets without telling anybody, I would do that. I don't want
know.
anybody knowing.
I know.
Like my friends are always like, "Oh, we would have come." I'm like, "I don't want you there. I don't do that." Like it would stress me out.
It's so stressful.
Oh,
It's so
do you
stressful.
still get like stressed and nervous?
Yeah,
I mean, for Carnegie
yeah.
Hall, certainly there's gonna be some
Yeah.
nerves. But if you're just doing your regular sets, are you still like
mean,
butterflies?
Yeah, a little bit of butterflies, sure. Like you're, but more like, oh man, this is gonna be so exciting. I'm really excited about this.
in
But
a
when I
good
did,
way.
I went home to. There's this place that I saw Jay Leno with my dad when I was 17, and it's in Beverly, Massachusetts, and I performed there. And from the moment I booked it, I was just writing down all these memories from everything, and so. It was everybody I went to high school with. It was kind of like a nightmare where you have to perform for everybody you went to high school with.
Right. Holy
At
shit.
least I
That's
was
like
clothed,
one of the most pressure-packed things you're ever gonna do.
Yeah, when it was done, I didn't realize how relieved I was, and also how important it was to hear from people saying it was good. Because I was like, you don't know if everybody had a good time, so it was just, yeah, it was
Did you
really
kill that night?
stressful. Yeah, I killed, but it was because who else is doing jokes about certain teachers that we had?
It's a little bit of a captive audience.
My high school German teacher was in the audience, so I got to use the 9 German words that I can remember from
German.
from high
Taking
school
German in high school is a choice. Yeah. That's a little fucking crazy.
It was because the German teacher was such a cool guy. He used to play basketball with us on Friday afternoons.
Did you ever
and
play
he had a-
ball?
I played high school basketball.
High school.
Yeah,
There
and I
was
used to
no-
go to
there was
camps every
no,
summer. I could have
college
gone
ball?
to, which I should have when I think about it. I should have gone to like a Bowdoin or a Williams or something like that.
That's guy fella.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of
But,
fun.
I mean, but Boston
and you
College
can get really good
football's-
at basketball, but the
Yeah.
ego is like Boston College football. How do you
sure.
turn? How do you turn that
Yeah,
down? Not
basketball
at
on a
18
lower
years
level
old.
probably
Yeah,
would've
would have
been
been so
more-
much fun.
Yeah.
And you do get better at basketball.
Yeah, right.
and it's such a fun sport to play as an adult because there's no
nearly as-
contact
yeah.
and you don't need as many guys. I can play it with just 1 or 2 guys. It's really fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm always happy that it came out the way it did because it's made you into this like unbelievable comic.
all these things in our life guide
Add
us
to
along
one
this
thing.
thing to make us who we are. But I like to watch that show Rick and Morty because they see all the different timelines that they could have existed on, and it's very interesting. But we don't have that opportunity
Dude,
yet.
I mean, this
Not
one
yet.
The Carnegie Hall
Carnegie Hall
timeline
thing,
is a pretty
yes.
fucking cool
There's
one,
no
man.
way if I'm a college All-American in football that I have enough insecurity in me to work hard enough at comedy
Carnegie fucking
to
Hall.
play Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
So it's good that I couldn't go over the middle.
Yeah.
I imagine it probably helps you get back to the the BC reunions now too. We have a little something more than just I can wear shoelaces again.
Oh, that's right. I should have like a 30th or 35th coming up. Yeah,
And walk into that one with your
yeah,
head held high.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Carnegie Hall, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that one was tough. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great memory, guys. That's amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
man.
it's
so,
a pleasure. I
it's
really
the
appreciate
Carnegie
you
Hall.
bringing me on to plug this because
Yeah,
if it's
no,
just
no.
the three of us that night.
No, I bought 4 tickets.
Okay,
so
so
it's
at
gonna be
least have that.
at least
So
5 of us.
Five,
I
and
have
then
a sneaking suspicion
and then,
there'll be plenty
then my
more people,
opening
but-
act. So I really appreciate you guys' encouragement and support. So
Where
thank you.
is it? GaryGulman.com? Can they
Yeah,
get tickets?
GaryGulman.com or through the New York Comedy Festival, which I don't know what the maybe NewYorkComedyFestival.com.
Yeah,
or
throw it in
something.
Google.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But Gary,
We
yeah.
will be there. Look
Yeah.
forward to
Yeah.
seeing everyone else
That's
there.
Carnegie Hall.
And
on
I owe you guys
November-
mushrooms.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Saturday, November 13th.
13th.
Yeah.
And you bring the mushrooms, and we'll be there.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
All right, the holiday season is approaching. All I want for Christmas this year is YouTube subscribers. We
Please.
got to get to 100,000. I want that
Please, sir, can you buy
100,000
these
plaque.
subscribers?
We've got a goal for all you out there, for everybody. At 100,000 subscribers, Polly Feidelberg will join us on the show. Maybe. Well, if not, we'll probably have to trick her into it. But at 100K, you will get Polly content. So subscribe, click the bell icon so you get notifications so that you're always watching. Leave a comment below. Talk about it. Post about it. Spread word. Tell your friends. 100,000 subscribers on KFC Radio for Polly Feidelberg. Let's make it happen.